We're rocking and rolling for another edition of Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. You'll see and hear from Chip as well coming up here in just a few moments. Really appreciate everybody for making today's show a part of your day. I hope you're having a great week. It's hump day. We're one day closer to the weekend. Lot to get into on today's show. Going to take a look at some 76ers free agent targets as Philadelphia has 3 roster spots left. How do they fulfill those roster spots? We might find the answer to that question coming up here on today's show. I first want to set a comment record for this month here on 76ers. Now, spam 76 as many times as you can. The most comments that we've gotten on a video this month, 286. The goal for today, 300. One person could take care of that. Spam 76 if you love the Sixers. So as I noted, Philadelphia has 3 roster spots left. Going to have to fulfill those remaining roster spots with vet min deals because Philadelphia spending a lot of money on the likes of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George. The 76ers roster right now, in addition to those 3 players, the 3 headliners, of course, is part of the big 3. Kelly Oubre Jr. back in free agency. Caleb Martin signing a long-term deal with Philadelphia in free agency as well. Ricky Council signed that NBA contract toward the end of last year. And then you flip the page, Kyle Lowry is back. Andre Drummond returns. Jared McCain, the first-round pick for Philadelphia at 16 overall. Eric Gordon, KJ Martin, Adem Bona. Gordon signed in free agency, 1-year vet min. And then you have KJ Martin, who's returning to Philadelphia as well. So the Sixers here in turn can only sign vet min contracts. You don't want to go into that second apron. It really restricts you with what you're able to do, draft, free agency, trying to become a better team. So that's what you want to avoid. Unfortunately, the new CBA kind of sucks. As for the free agent targets here, here's some of the top remaining players that would make sense for Philadelphia as vet min candidates. Marcus Morris, former Sixer, came to Philadelphia by way of the James Harden trade. Reggie Bullock, 3-and-D player. Jeff Dowtin, who's been playing well for the Sixers during the NBA Summer League. Cedi Osman, and then Danilo Gallinari. Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer reporting a couple of weeks ago that the Sixers are indeed interested in bringing Marcus Morris back. This could give you toughness, a vet with a lot of playoff experience. It gives you some size for Philadelphia in that front court, and a player who can still be a part of a playoff rotation, stretch his game out to the three-point arc. And last year we saw what he's capable of doing with Philadelphia. I wouldn't hate bringing him back because I do like his game. The 76ers, according to Keith Pompey as well, have already met with Reggie Bullock throughout this free agency period. He barely played last year with the Houston Rockets, but a couple of years ago, a classic 3-and-D player who, again, a good playoff rotation type of guy who gives you some size at that wing spot. I still think that he can defend. He can camp out in that corner, and if he gets some open looks, he can drain some of those three-point opportunities. And with campaign signing with the New York Knicks, that takes him away from signing with Philadelphia. The writing was on the wall, after the Sixers brought back Kyle Lowry. You were probably going to choose between one of those two, but Chase, they were both on the team last year, but the Sixers also drafted Jared McCain. So campaign signing with the Knicks. It's a good signing for New York. The Sixers could look for a third ball handler here. Now, Marcus Morris is not that. Reggie Bullock is not that. What we've seen in the Summer League is that Jeff Dowtin can handle the rock a little bit. In the Summer League, 3 games played, he's got a lot of run, nearly 30 minutes per game. He's averaged nearly 17 points per game. He's been able to dish it at a pretty good rate, 6.3 dimes, and then 43.9% from the field. That's, of course, an issue with the lack of efficiency. So, too, the three-point numbers at 21% from deep. But Jeff Dowtin, what could he give you? Ball handling and being able to dish out dimes, which is what Philadelphia is looking for. Does Jeff Dowtin deserve a roster spot on the Philadelphia 76ers? They have 3 roster spots left. They can only be vet min guys. And you're thinking about the construction of the Sixers roster. What do they need? They need a ball handler. They need somebody who's going to be able to pressure the rim a little bit and dish out some assists. Jeff Dowtin has really struggled in shooting throughout the summer league this summer for the summer Sixers, but he has been able to create for others and distribute the basketball. He's averaging nearly 6 dimes, and he's going to be really cheap. He also has familiarity with the Sixers team going back to last year when he sparingly got some run for Philadelphia. I think Jeff Dowtin could make some sense to fill one of the 3 remaining roster spots that the Sixers have vacant currently on this Sixers team right now. Chip, let's bring you in. Let's talk specifically Dowtin here. Are there better options out there? Does it make sense to bring him back? What do you think?
I would love to bring Dowtin in with one of these 3 roster spots, especially because, as we mentioned, campaign moving on to the New York Knicks. So you could use a third, true point guard, true ball handler on the roster. I think Jared McCain, more of an off-ball guy, more of a secondary ball handler. You obviously have Tyrese Maxey. You have Kyle Lowry. I think Jeff Dowtin, who Nick Nurse has some familiarity with, going all the way back to his days in Toronto. Dowtin gave the Sixers some decent minutes this past season during the regular season, and obviously during the summer league has been very good as well. A lot of times looking like the best player out there on the court.
Yep.
He's shown the ability to, stretch it from deep a little bit, creating his own shot, pulling up from 3. He's been really good at getting to his spots in the mid-range and getting that floater up. And of course, the playmaking and the overall command of the game has been there a little bit. So I feel like with what he's shown in summer league, out of everybody that you could be looking at, he's deserving of one of these 3 roster spots. And again, would fit a need for the Sixers with campaign leaving for the New York Knicks.
Let's next take a look at Cedi Osman and then Danilo Gallinari. Osman is a player whose stock has kind of cooled over the last couple of years. This past year, 17.5 minutes per, almost 7 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, less than 2 dimes. He can shoot the 3 a little bit, and then he connected on nearly 48% of his field goals. And Danilo Gallinari, almost 6 points per game. We know that he has a history of being able to knock down the 3. That could be a veteran player as a floor spacer for Philadelphia who's very well accomplished in this league. Jared McCain jerseys available thanks to our friends at Fanatics and on sale right now. All you got to do is use that link down below, chatsports.com/McCain. Plug in that link. It'll take you to our friends at Fanatics, and you can get a Jared McCain jersey. Other Sixers jerseys available too if you utilize that link down below. The next wave of free agent targets for the Sixers, a notable name like Gordan Hayward, a non-notable name in Jordan Nwora, local guy as far as Pennsylvania ties. He's from Reading and Lonnie Walker, Justin Holiday, the brother of Drew, and Jae Crowder. Another one of the 3-and-D prototypes who is at the end of his road and his NBA career, but can still knock down the 3 and defend at a decent clip. And again, a buzzword for today's show, he would be cheap. Gordan Hayward in 2023-2024, interesting production here, no doubt about it, because with the Charlotte Hornets, he put up good numbers, but then he goes to OKC, wasn't a part of that playoff rotation. That trade ended up being a disappointment for the Thunder and Gordon Hayward, who was surprised in that series, especially against the Dallas Mavericks, that he wasn't getting any burn. Now, the Charlotte Hornets, one of the worst teams in the NBA last year, and because of that, he played almost 32 points per game, 14.5 points. The field goal, 3-point numbers, pretty solid. With the Thunder, though, not as many minutes, and then not a part of that playoff rotation. They wanted a player who gave them some offensive punch coming in off the bench, and it never really materialized. If Hayward can stay healthy, that's obviously a big concern ever since that gruesome injury a couple of years ago after he signed that deal with the Boston Celtics. He can shoot a little bit. He can handle the rock. He can create. Decent defender, but in part because of that injury, he is just well past his prime at this point. But I would like a player like Gordon Hayward on this team. I think it really helps out your depth. Jordan Nwora, more of the younger variety as compared to Gordon Hayward. He's 6'8", 225. Last year, 7 points per game, almost 3 rebounds, more than an assist, 46% from the field. We know with Lonnie Walker, he's had an improving 3-point shot. And of all of the players on this list, he's probably one of the more athletic, if not the most athletic players still remaining. Last 2 years, we've seen strides made with that outside jumper. I think that maybe he could get a little bit more money elsewhere, depending on how the free agency market materializes, but Lonnie Walker is a player who maybe is on that Kelly Oubre trajectory, where Oubre last year, late in the process, signed that Vetman deal with Philadelphia, ended up being a great bargain chip for the Sixers, and improved the stock. And then he used that to get a better deal. Could Lonnie Walker do the same? Lonnie Walker, as we saw at Reading for the PA homies, at Miami, at moments in his NBA career, as a former first-round pick, athletic, high energy, has a little pull-up game. Sometimes the scoring ability can definitely wane. Decent jumper, and he's not really a plus defender. As for Justin Holiday, probably the worst of the Holiday brothers, but he's a spot-up shooter who can play a little defense. He can't really do much outside of his defined role, and that defined role would be important, but we're talking about the last 3 roster spots here for Philadelphia, and it's not like any of these players would be counted upon in getting that many minutes. And then lastly, Jae Crowder. We've seen the decline in production the last 2 years, 2020, 2021, 2021, 2022. Had a lot of value for those Suns teams, which were excellent, making it to the NBA Finals that 1 year. Best season of the last 4, definitely coming in 2021, when he connected on 38.9% of his three-point shots. With Jae Crowder, this is an experienced player who can space the floor. He doesn't have any fear in letting that shot fly. He's tough and physical, but we've seen that decline a little bit in physicality as he's getting older. So, Chip, let's bring you back on. Any thoughts with that second wave of free agents there?
Yeah, so out of that second group of 5 there, I like Gordan Hayward as a guy who, you could take a low-risk, high-reward in a sense, where if he's going to sign for a minimum, he's a player who, if he stays healthy, I think he's shown he can be a little bit better than that. So I do like Gordan Hayward a lot. If I were to be the one filling out these remaining 3 roster spots for the Sixers, I'd go Dowtin for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. I go Gordon Hayward, again, because I think he can still contribute if he can stay healthy, and he has that experience, and, again, would be cheap ideally. And then with that last spot, I think for me it would come down to Lonnie Walker or Marcus Morris. I feel like I'd rather have Marcus Morris just for, the size, the shooting ability, a guy who can be a little more efficient because he's not doing so much with the ball in his hands. I think Lonnie Walker could have a little bit more scoring upside off the bench. But I'd rather just have the reliability, the toughness, the familiarity with Marcus Morris. So, again, those 3 spots, give me Dowtin, give me Hayward, give me Marcus Morris.
Dowtin, familiarity. Morris, a little familiarity. Maybe the highest upside as far as a bench role, most likely Gordan Hayward. So drop a name. Who should the Sixers sign to fill out their roster? Let us know down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button here. We've had the best month in the history of this channel. The history has been awesome with so many videos popping off, and we're going to continue to do what we do right here on this show.